Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Scotty, beam me up.
Hulk. Smash. Get over here.
It is pointless to resist.
All right. And we're back. After a lengthy hiatus and lots of rescheduling and
You
guys-
or three fault easily.
yeah, right. You guys have been doing a lot of stuff over at Dad Mented,
This is true.
and
Very
that's awesome.
entertaining.
So yeah, we're all staying busy, so that's good.
We're staying busy whether we like it or not, which is part of adulthood. Sucks.
Exactly. Sometimes busier than we really want to be. Hi, my name's James, and I'm sorry we have been gone for so long. But we're
Life
back.
happened, and here we
Yes.
are.
Here we are. And what we're doing today is kind of kicking off the midnight matinee of sorts, I guess it would be, because we haven't done one yet.
Hmm.
We keep talking about it.
But we have plans, and that's
We
it.
do have plenty of plans, but I figured me and Craig had a conversation, and we figured let's do a top 100 list of our favorite horror movies. And we informed Jason that's what we're doing, and he's like, okay, yeah, that might take a while. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely gonna take a while. So then me and Craig talked, and I was like, how about we break it down by decade? Like we do 20 from the 70s, 20 from the 80s, and so on and so forth. Because we can all agree that the 70s were really the start of like the iconic horror movies that we all love.
Yeah. Yeah,
Can
the
we-
ones I think
Yeah, the
even my
birth-
list, the 70s is like mainline. For the
We
Yeah.
had
most
the birth
part.
of the slasher movies in the 70s.
Yeah. And
Like-
we're all slasher fans.
Yep.
Well, we are, because it's almost like the genre had managed to get streamlined after several, like a bunch of shit that happened in the 60s. You had, like, when did Maniac come out? The original version of Maniac.
Shit.
Was it 68?
Yeah, I think so.
I
Somewhere around
think so,
there.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I want to say it came out around the same time as Night of the Living Dead.
if you
Yeah.
call that like a proto horror movie or a proto slasher movie, it set a direction for horror to go in.
Mhm.
In the 70s, directors who were influenced by that just picked up and ran. And the next thing you know, 50 years worth of horror has been influenced. from
Right.
that.
And there was a boom in the 50s as well with Vincent Price
Oh,
and,
huge. It was all atomic oriented though.
and 3D. And there was a lot of 3D.
Dogs, fucking
There was a
Yeah.
lot of 3D happening.
gimmicky stuff. But the point
Yeah.
they were experimenting. You knew they wanted more. That's what they could do.
Right. And the the original House of Wax for one is like one of
Vincent
the
Price, man, that guy.
Dude is
I would watch
great.
him in anything. I'd watch that guy
Absolutely.
on a Chinese menu.
He's probably my favorite part of Edward Scissorhands, believe it or not.
And
Yeah.
Just because of who he is.
a great farewell too. As far as that
Mm-hmm.
goes, from the age that I was, I mean, the fact that it sucks very clearly. I mean, he was older, so I mean, it makes sense. But it sucks that that was his final moment. But it's great that it was that movie and it was Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Tim Burton clearly had a love for the guy. He got to work with someone
Absolutely.
he loved.
You see a lot of Vincent Price influence.
Oh, absolutely. Just even the fucking shadowing, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I
For
mean,
sure.
Tim Burton's whole aesthetic can be based around pretty much any Vincent Price movie.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're here to talk about the 70s, 80s, 90s, early aughts, the 2010s. We're not getting into the 2020s yet because we have some conversations about the 2020s.
We've already figured out what the greatest of that is, though.
So far, the
Even though I haven't
2020s
gotten to
are
watch it,
being
I know
held.
which one it is.
me and Craig can probably agree here. Right now, Terrifier 2 is holding the rank of the best
And that's
horror movie
That-
of this
that-
decade. Of
I
this
am
decade.
fucking excited to see that movie. Like I
Dude,
legitimately,
if you like I'm just gonna say it right here, right now. If you like the first one, you're gonna love this one. Okay.
well, you have the whole thing. That obviously, this is a sidetrack having nothing to do with either the 70s or the 80s, insofar, with the exception of the fact that it is very, very much a full-on 80s throwback. Like it is
For
wonderful
sure.
in that regard.
It is great because
Yeah,
bringing
even the
back what we all love.
soundtrack is all like synth pop.
It's like there was a point where movies, sometime in the early 2000s, which I'm sure we'll get to when we hit that list, there was a point where horror movies were going to a much greater extreme, especially influenced from the French extremist shit. Like
Yeah.
they were becoming more brutal. Because I mean, the fact is, if you're a horror person, if you like horror movies, seeing the same death over and over again in different films, I don't want to say like it's not enjoyable or that it is enjoyable because that would make me sound weird, but it becomes secondary. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I mean, the first time, like, if you look at something like The Omen and the decapitation scene with the plate of glass going through what's his name's neck, right?
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. I know what you're talking
That
about.
for the first time at the time that it's released, that fucking hits. It hits hard, right?
Mhm.
When you see decapitation now, though, it doesn't matter how much gore you throw into it. It doesn't matter what's happening. It's just a head missing from a body, which you've seen 100 times. However, if
It's
you
how
do
it's
it
done.
with an incredibly expressive clown face that is clearly nothing but a full-on evil entity causing mayhem,
On
it's
the
added
nose.
a new element to an old trope, and it's fucking awesome. And it's, I want to
100%.
see it so bad, just so very badly.
You're gonna love it. I'm telling you
I've
right.
seen it twice. I've been jealous both times.
I've seen it once, and I need to rewatch it before we talk about it. Let's just put it that way.
I
Yeah.
got the 1 minute clip they dropped.
Uh-huh.
I watched that immediately. I was like, "Oh, this." I was looking at the comments under too. It was fucking hilarious. People were like, "It's a horror movie. What do you expect?" And then like, I didn't expect that because that is brutal as fuck for modern horror.
Right.
Dude, people
I
are
don't care
passing
what it
out
looks
and
like.
getting
That's
sick
fucking
and
great.
How long has it been since you heard about people passing out and getting sick from a horror movie in
Which
a
I feel
theater?
like, so part of that is, I honestly feel like part of that is hype to an extent. I feel like it's hype, and it's like people are going expecting to feel that way.
People walked out of my showing.
Oh no, I'm sure they did, but it was probably people that have never actually gone and sat through those types of movies because like that shit happened when Jacob's Ladder, the Tim Robinson, Tim Robinson, is that right?
Tim Robbins.
Robbins, thank you. Tim Robbins'
Tim
version,
Robbins.
The original version of Jacob's Ladder. When that movie came out in theaters, people were fucking talking about like feeling ill and so forth and so on. And if you watch it and disregard everything you've seen since, you can understand why. Like it's a vicious fucking movie. The shit that happens in it, what he's seeing, the way it's filmed.
Straw Dogs.
Of which, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Really? Is that in the 70s? Okay,
Oh yeah,
cool.
oh yeah.
I
But,
couldn't remember if that was late 60s or early 70s.
No, that was definitely 70s. But that was, I mean, it's the type of visceral reaction that occurs to a horror movie. It's not so much, at least in my opinion, it's not something like a filmmaker doesn't want to make fucking people sick, right? That's not actually what they want.
Right.
But they do want it to stick. They want it to be something that means something one way or another. Horror movies, comedies, anything. Name the fucking movie. That's what a filmmaker wants.
Right.
That's what an artist wants. That's what a fucking band wants. That's what any creator wants.
Yeah.
And from everything I've read, and from Terrifier 1, I have nothing but hopes. Like it's the first time I've ever felt like a movie.
It exceeded my expectations, dude.
I think I prefer it a bit more than the first one, in all honesty, and I stick
Which
with
is
that.
glowing fucking praise. Like that's
Coming from you, especially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at like the fucking not to name the Holy Trinity, but like the Star Wars trilogy, the originals.
Yes.
You had the first part, which was this great, groundbreaking, fucking all-encompassing societal thing, and then you have part 2, which beat it.
Yep.
It was even better. And then you have part 3, which, by the way, is my favorite. I don't know why people name off Empire. It's not the best out of them. The third one is.
Jedi.
Return of the Jedi is the best out of them.
Jedi. 100%.
But a lot of people will say it's Empire. And the thing is, though, is there are so very few sequels and or compendiums of movies that do that succeed in being better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just not sorry to get so sidetracked, but I cannot overstate how happy I am that part 2 was made and how much I want to see it.
Totally fine. So who wants to kick off our little list? And before we get into it, one more little caveat. I figure we're gonna have some matches here. You know, and we're not going in any particular order necessarily.
Yeah.
Like
I
just have them numbered so I didn't have to keep counting as I wrote them down. But
mine are in release order, but that doesn't really matter. They're actually probably in the order that I would have put them in anyways.
Right. But I figure we just find one on our list, we name it off. You know, a random, and then just, you know, mark it off. And if we match, if one of us has a match or whatever, that person can also check it off, just so we don't repeat the list.
That's fair. Let's do that.
That work? All right, cool. And that'll be.
I feel like the announcement should be made if the list has been matched, though. Should be made clear of this.
Yeah, be like, yep, I have that one too, or something like that.
Well, if our goal is to actually rank the movies, like our top whatever movies going from decade, we should, in one way or another, keep track, in my opinion at least, of which movies.
We can also do that, you know, as a kind of wrap up episode or something like that.
This year that might very well be in my top 10 of 100.
Okay, that works. Okay, but who wants to kick us off here?
We could.
You know what, Krager? You've been watching horror since you were 5.
Oh, that's a good way to go.
So, and you're wearing the shirt that got you into it.
Yeah.
So why don't you start?
Tell us a vote. You're already into it.
All right. So my first one is absolutely basic, but you know, it holds like the most memories and shit for me, which would be Halloween.
I have that one too, and that's actually funny because I was gonna start with that one too if you did. Just because, you know, we all know and love that movie, and it pretty much kicked off the whole slasher. But like, it didn't really kick it off, but like, didn't really kick it off, but like, John Carpenter etched it in stone.
Yeah,
that like
John Carpenter revolutionized.
Yeah, that's the word.
Like he did something in what, like, there was, let's say that our modern version of what a slasher movie is, with the virtuous female final girl, like, because Jamie Lee Curtis, she is the ultimate final girl. She really,
absolutely,
her and fucking Heather Langenkamp from the Elm Street series, right? They're the ultimate final girls. But in this particular case, John Carpenter created, in so much as even just the description of what Michael Myers is, the shape.
Yeah.
Right? Like the full-on description, just the shape. That's all he was given in the script, because he was meant to be the embodiment of evil. He was evil for evil's sake, doing evil shit in a formatted thing that would allow him to make multiple kills. It was literally basically the outline for what a slasher is meant to be.
Yeah.
Formula's never failed.
And he kind of kicked off the supernatural slasher.
Oh, absolutely. The idea of unkillable slasher, yes.
Yep. Gave birth to guys like Freddy and Jason, Pinhead.
Well, you had prior to that, what'd you have? The Burning? No, that was the 80s.
Yeah, you're right.
Doesn't count, really. No, it was all John Carpenter. It's Halloween.
Yep. That was the start of it.
Outside of Maniac, which, I mean, and even that wasn't the same. That was a depraved lunatic with a tripod that had spikes on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was. Wait, was that am I thinking about the right one, or is that?
Whoa.
Okay. So Maniac was remade with Elijah Wood as the titular character.
Yeah.
He was scalping women and attaching their flesh and their hair to mannequins to keep them around him,
Yeah.
There was another movie that predated Maniac, the original version of it, where a guy had a camera and he would get women to come in and he would take pictures of them, but the camera had spikes on the end of it, so he would use it to fucking kill them and take a picture while he did it. I really wish I could remember the name of it because that's actually the Throat Slasher.
Oh, okay. But
yeah, this is all a sidetrack, but it's bothering me because I'm like, there were scenes running through my head and everything, and it's one of those things where I've got the first letter on my tongue and it just won't fucking go. Point of the matter is, there was one prior to Maniac,
right,
that I could name, anyways. Well, that I can't name, actually.
But Jason, what's your first one?
My first of the 70s, and bearing in mind, mine actually went in order, but like I said, this is also probably the order I put them in. The Wizard of Gore.
Oh,
that's a good one. I didn't think of that.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh,
I'm actually not familiar with that.
Herschel Gordon Lewis, as a director, the guy was known for pushing the bounds of good taste, at least in the form of like the visceral, gross ass shit that you could put on a screen.
Yeah.
In 1970, when he did this, it was done specifically to push at censorship boundaries. Like it was like that. It was also to tell a story, but more than anything, he was trying to see what he'd get away with.
Right.
You know, it was. Let's call it a seminal movie in the shocker gore shit. That's what it was. I mean, look at the name, Wizard of Gore. Like he wasn't fucking around. He knew what he was doing. If you went to go see the movie, you knew what you were trying to see.
Sure. Excuse me.
So either way, that is actually my, if you were to do it in descending order from
20 to 1,
good to best, that's my good.
Okay.
The reason why this was out on anything higher is because they were hampered at the time by their ability to actually assemble, cut, and do anything to make it look right. Not their fault. It was 1970. What the fuck are you gonna do? We're talking about a year, now the Summer of Love followed by fucking The Wizard of Gore.
Yeah.
So,
but on the same note, I'm gonna kick mine off with The Hills Have Eyes.
That's a great fucking movie.
Yep.
Can't argue with it.
Wes Craven,
the atomic shit.
You know, yeah, for sure. But like in the original, it wasn't atomic stuff that made them the way they are. Inbreeding, yes.
Yeah.
And introduced us to Michael Berryman.
Yes,
the great Michael Berryman, who has since
by the
been.
Way, sorry, because you mentioned Michael Berryman, it just made me immediately think of the scene which always happens whenever somebody mentions his name.
Yeah.
Weird Science.
Yes.
If you could not tell anybody
just watch that the other night.
I do during the week. Like that whole fucking scene was wonderful.
Yep.
What a great guy to do it with.
Absolutely. And Craig, you actually met him.
Yep. Yeah, I did.
He has the
he's an awesome dude. He really is. He's like
what I hear. I hear
he's like the nicest guy.
Gentle giant.
What's that?
Yeah. I hear just a gentle giant from what I hear.
Pretty much, yeah.
Marty Feldman, from Young Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Igor.
Yeah, Igor. Exactly. They both have the same genetic condition.
Really?
Which is the reason why he looks the way he looks. Yeah. The eyes and the actual shape of the face. And what's really funny is if you put a picture side by side, you can see it. Like it's not even doubtful if you do it.
His eyes aren't Marty Feldman eyes though.
No, they're not. But the cheeks, the cheekbones, and the chin,
see that.
The mouth are. Like,
but he also, I can't remember what it's called, but it's similar to alopecia. But he can't grow fingernails or hair or sweat. He can't sweat either.
That's something trichosis. No, not trichosis, but hydrosis. Something hydrosis.
Something, yeah.
Trichosis is a hair thing.
And the fact that he can't sweat made it challenging on set for The Hills Have Eyes because they're in the fucking desert, and he's wearing layers.
Which Christ, what a great movie though! What a great movie! I mean,
fantastic. But there's a lot missing from it because they had to cut so much.
Okay, if you had all right, so when The Hills Have Eyes came out, the first time I ever saw it was on regular network television when I was a little kid. It was on the Shock Channel shit on Channel 36 in Georgia. So
I never saw it till I was 19.
Really? Well, I mean, this was in the 80s, so it used to pop up. It was
Right.
like, generally speaking, any movie you saw released. Like, I saw Rawhead Rex on Channel 36 when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a great movie, made less so by the fact that it was edited, because it had to be.
Right.
And The Hills Have Eyes, the same thing. It was edited. It had to be edited.
Yeah.
But it was still
Right.
good, and it drew me in.
I first saw it because I always I knew the cover, like I knew that image, Michael Berryman just staring at you.
Yep.
And like I knew the image, I knew the name of the movie, but I'd never seen it. And I was like, Wes Craven. I like Wes Craven. You know, Freddy, Scream.
Yeah.
You know, People Under the Stairs. All these movies that shaped me who I am. And we'll get to those movies later on, obviously, but but yeah, like I like Wes Craven. I'm gonna like this movie. So I was at Walmart, saw it on the shelf, $5. I was like, "Yep, you're coming home." Watched it that night. I was like, okay, this movie is far better than I was expecting it to be. Given the time period that it came out and like the editing that went into it, it's
That
still
was
fucking
brilliant.
yeah.
That was one of the first remakes that I'd seen. Well, not one of the first remakes, but one of the first of the really well-known horror movies that I'd seen remade. The remake was fucking great.
I
Yeah.
agree.
A good story. I mean, it's a classic story. I mean, shit, it all goes back to what's his name, Sonny Bean from fucking Australia, right? So it's all
Scotland.
it was it Scotland?
Yep.
It was Australia.
No,
Oh,
it's Scotland.
okay. So the reason I'm thinking about Australia is because there's a fucking Australian horror movie that's also based off the Sonny Bean shit.
Yeah, I think I know what
It's
movie
like-
you're talking about.
All of it goes back to the same thing: a clan of fucking inbred, cannibalistic fucking pigs eating people. Shit, that's where the fucking wrong turn comes from. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, there's
Oh,
that.
a
That's
bunch of
another trope.
movies.
What you can
There's
even
bunch
say
of
trope. Trope's not the right way to put it. Let's say it's the same formulaic fucking drop, but it all came from The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, what name another cannibal movie outside of Holocaust that existed before it? You
Yeah.
can't. So,
Yeah, no, you can't find them. Gregor, what you got next?
Let's see. What do I got next? Last House on the Left.
Great movie. I have that one as well.
man, we're loving some Wes Craven right now.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's
That was
all right.
another one.
Can't argue the Last House on the Left, though.
No.
Yeah.
Once again, another movie that was remade and done well.
Mhm.
And that's actually
Although
what got me
the
was
first
the
one
remake.
way more
I didn't really watch the first one. I mean, I didn't really watch the original at first, but the remake got me into it.
There's a
I can-
scene in the
that's-
first one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, because I'll.
There's a scene in the first one. It was done on purpose, and the thing is, if you know it was done on purpose, well, actually, if you read that it was done on purpose, you'll feel better about realizing it was done on purpose because it's so obvious. Right after the titular girl meets her end in the original,
Mhm.
there's a moment where the escaped convicts are all sitting around and just it goes silent, and they're all just sort of staring off into space, staring like looking just out onto the horizon, however you want to look at it, but basically disassociating. The thing is, that scene, it hits really fucking hard. On the one hand, the question being, is it them disregarding what they've just done, or is it them being so fucking horrified by what they did in a group?
Yeah.
The remake did not pull that off. That fucking scene packs a serious punch if you're really watching it.
Yeah.
The whole movie does if you're watching it. But
It's
that
been a minute since I've seen the original, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
just like dude with his fro sitting in the fucking grass and the slightly mid shot of him just like staring after the shit he's just done.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole thing is like it's sort of, for me at least, it didn't make me feel bad for them, but it made me realize that they were also people who did something terrible.
Right.
Which is, it was intentional. That was the intent.
Yeah.
Going back to Wes Craven being a fucking brilliant director.
Yep. Yeah, There's not much
Not the
more you can say
hyper-focus on the
about
one
Wes
part.
Craven. There's not much more you can say about the man. He was a fantastic director.
I don't think he ever had a miss.
No.
He had a couple that were less than his other efforts, but he personally did not miss in anything he tried.
No, he executed what he wanted to.
We could say what he did that Christina Ricci werewolf movie, the
Cursed.
Cursed. All right, from
Great
my
movie.
understanding, it's never been released, but the director's version is a completely different movie than the movie that I've seen.
I can see that.
That's it.
I
From
can
my
see
understanding, he made a brilliant film that studio interfered with.
Yeah.
R-rated full-on cut.
Yeah, I could understand that
Yeah.
because I've only seen what came out.
Which
but-
either way, I'm counting that as a win for him too. Not his fault. Studio interference.
No, it was a great movie, but
I think that
Could
was
have been
after
better.
New Line was sold.
yeah.
Because New Line was Wes Craven's. Am I wrong about that? New Line was Wes Craven's, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he
Yeah.
start New Line Cinema?
Yeah, that's where he released. I don't know if he started it, but that's definitely who he released his movies.
That was they sold New Line Cinema to oh fuck me, I can't remember the buyer. Point of the matter is, right after that happened, New Line Cinema basically might as well have become a defunct thing
right.
because it was a bunch of people telling a guy who had not missed, as mentioned, how to make movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Who the fuck does that? Why do you like? I'm not gonna go buy McDonald's and tell them they need to start selling fucking shrimp.
Right. Or tell him how to make a Big Mac. I could. I could because I used to work there. I know how to make a Big Mac to this day.
I did work at a burger.
I haven't made a Big Mac in over a decade. But yeah, you can't tell Wes Craven how to make movies.
No.
Like,
Like you knew what he was doing and they fucked with it.
yeah, for sure.
Which is also
But Jason-
why Scream movies were not released on New Line.
Exactly. But you're up. But Jason, what's next on your list?
Okay, so second one is Duel.
Duel. Ooh.
Duel.
Another one I'm not
Duel.
familiar with.
Original effort.
I have Duel on my list too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That I mean, it's a. I read the short story that the movie was based on when I was in fucking 5th grade, I think.
Mm.
Right.
The idea, like first off, the movie itself was done really well. I mean, the fact that you can make a truck feel like basically a sentient evil creation,
Mhm.
which is basically
I have seen Duel. Okay.
dude with glasses in his fucking
Yep.
Pinto trying to drive across the
Yeah.
desert away from
Yeah.
a black truck that you can't see through the windows. It might as well just
Right.
be a dark entity.
And all it does is fucking honk.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's like its version of speech, which might as well, and it was meant again done on purpose, might as well just be a fucking bellow of rage.
Yeah.
And it's the whole idea behind it when I was a kid, the reason why it hit me the way that it did, like it's just like this dude's fucking annoyed, he's trying to get home and he irritates a random guy,
Right.
decides to chase him to the goddamn ends of the earth and kill him in the middle of fucking nowhere. That's his intent. That's what he wants done.
Yeah.
Just because what did he do? He cut him off, I think.
Yeah.
did
He cut him
something
off.
absurd. And the fact that like the idea, like even for modern road rage, you know,
Yeah.
like this, it's a once again, when you're a kid and you don't know how fucked up people actually are, the idea that something like that could happen is terrifying.
That's probably the reason I forgot about that movie is because I saw it when I was like 10.
Right?
And I was like, what the fuck? What? What's going on here? Like, why is this? What happened? Like,
It was, you know, it's weird. It was also you could argue that it was almost like a proto Jaws.
yeah.
Because, I mean, it's a
Mhm.
truck. It's something that you consider to be a non-human thing, and in this case,
Yeah.
with black eyes, chasing something to the ends of the earth to try to get it.
Yep.
So like it was, and plus, like as mentioned, it was Spielberg. You know, at the time, he was still experimenting. He was learning, but man, you could see it when you watch it. If you watch that movie now, knowing who he is, knowing what he would later do, you could see that all of it was a setup for what he would later learn.
Right.
Like it is a great movie. It packs a great punch, and it's such a simple fucking premise.
Right.
Bad thing chases something that maybe is bad, maybe isn't, doesn't matter. But you're looking at Hunter versus Hunting.
Yeah.
Nope, that's me.
That makes sense. Perfect summation. Gregor, you have anything to add?
No.
You had it on your list.
Yeah. But you pretty much covered what I wanted to say.
Jason, your
For
award.
me, it was like a sick day movie all the time because it was on like the
Right.
upper channels. Yeah. So it was on like all the time and I'd marathon it.
All right.
Just amazing. Amazing movie.
Okay. Right. But yeah, I don't have much to add because I've only seen it the one time, and I just remember being very confused because, like you said, I didn't understand why the fuck is this truck just chasing this dude.
Yeah.
Like, what did this guy do that
that's the whole
he can't
thing.
even make a phone call without being harassed?
What could happen that would piss somebody off so bad, especially because you don't ever see a driver, you never see a controller, so the truck is that guy.
I just thought it was like a rip off of Transformers or something. I was really
Oh
confused.
no, absolutely. Like the first time I was watching, I was like, "Is the truck sentient? What the fuck's happening? Is it alive?" And then I finally realized that no, it's not alive. There's a driver in there, but the driver doesn't matter. It's the fucking vehicle
Right.
that is for like what would be the shape in Halloween.
For sure. But
yeah.
All right. My next one is touching back on what Krager said. It was the remake that got me into it. Dawn of the Dead.
And there we go.
Yep.
Check.
Wait, do I have Dawn? I don't have Dawn. I don't have Dawn. Way to go.
Okay.
I had to choose because I was doing it yearly.
I obviously have Dawn.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yep. I knew Krager would have it.
Well, because it's a fucking great movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
It's a beautiful movie.
There you go.
American consumerism gone wrong.
This is how close it is to me all the time.
Yep, there you go. I own that too. I just don't own the physical copy.
I thought, by the way, Dawn of the Dead, the remake, once again, as you mentioned, the remake, fucking great remake. Brilliant.
Absolutely, man. Like it gave a whole new twist to zombies.
No, yeah, it created what we now know as the fast zombie.
Yeah.
Right.
With a good, which I think we talked about this before. A lot of people missed it because it was on the director's commentary of the remake from Zack Snyder, and when people were bitching about the fast zombies, because everything that we had known about the Living Dead up to then was these slow-moving fucking mumblers pulling out of the ground.
But I think I know what you're touching at.
The lack of rigor mortis and muscle tone that hadn't deteriorated, so they could still move.
Like, fresh kill.
Which made sense. Like it suddenly, like when I
absolutely makes sense.
Saw and listened to that, I was like, "Oh shit!"
It absolutely
makes way more sense. Actually, it's what would happen if they bite somebody and they fucking die and come back. They're still fresh. They're gonna move fast.
But that's a conversation for another episode.
It is. Point of the matter is, about that. There's a reason behind it.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a few episodes. But the original, you got Ken Faree,
brilliant,
just an amazing actor.
Yeah,
you know, he shows up in the Rob Zombie movies later, and he's fantastic in those as well. But
he was in 3 from Hell, wasn't he?
He was in
Devil's Rejects.
He was in Devil's Rejects.
Oh, he was in Devil's Rejects when they got
he was also in Halloween, the remake of Halloween.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
Yep, there you go. But yeah, just Dawn of the Dead, George Romero at it again. You know,
that's also
I wanted
Tom Savini actually stepped in and started doing the effects.
Yep,
that was
absolutely.
Tom Savini's first big foray into the fucking zombie.
100% with George Romero. Yep.
Which is funny because when you watch it now with the hyper, like at the time, I think Technicolor was still the way to go for the good majority of movies when they filmed, like to get the hyper color in. So bear in mind, like the color film was used, the Technicolor, at least to my understanding, would actually go back over it and like bolster the shit that they felt needed bolstering, which is the reason you have like blue gray zombies and green zombies and shit. Like the idea was, I mean, like it made them 100% identifiable from a distance. That's their goal. And they also fucking up the blood because at the time, the good majority of horror movies coming out, the blood that you would see from a wound, from an injured, from whatever happened, had this orangey sort of tone to it.
Yeah.
not in Romero's movie. It was fucking red.
Yep.
It was red and it looked right. It wasn't even like
Yeah.
it wasn't carousel red. It was fucking red,
Yeah.
which is a weird thing to get like fixated on. But it did. It was cool, and it wasn't water. It ran thick.
Mm-hmm.
So even back to the point, Romero was doing what he was meant to do,
Revolutionizing the genre
Absolutely.
once again.
and he actually got to copyright that one.
Yes. I was going to say, I wanted to include Night of the Living Dead, but I forgot that was 68.
Yep.
So couldn't. But we got Dawn of the Dead, which came out 10 years later, and it was just as good, if not far better.
Probably better. I think it was
Yeah,
better.
probably
I would definitely say it's better. Just
Still,
because.
like no explanation for what's happening, just the fact that it is happening.
No, but overall the story is better.
Oh, of course it
I
was.
think out of like the whole trilogy, I think Night is probably at the bottom of my list. That the ones I watched the most.
Oh, back to the
It's-
remake though. I think
Yeah.
I Live and Dead remake.
Which
with
one?
Todd.
With who?
Tony Todd and Tom Savini.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 1990 one?
Wonderful remake.
Yeah.
What's his name? God, someone help me out here. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I love the dude. I follow him. He in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, Bill Moseley.
Thank you, Bill Moseley.
Chop Chop.
Barbara's
Chop.
brother,
Yeah.
and they're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah.
He was fucking great in that scene, and that scene was
Don't. That's because he's Bill fucking Moseley.
Yeah.
He's Bill fucking Moseley. He can do no wrong.
No, he really can't. Like I've seen some shit horror movies.
Chop Top.
He was good.
Texas Chainsaw 2. Chop Top.
Yep. Oh God, absolutely. If for no
Yeah.
other reason than somehow or another he is on screen playing what might as well be a comedic character who is somehow or another more menacing than the dude with a goddamn
Yep.
chainsaw and flesh on his face.
Exactly. And he continues that vibe in House of Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
Oh, he
And
really
Del
does, dude. It's Otis. Oh God, there.
Otis B. Driftwood.
Jesus.
But- Yeah. Anyway, back to Dawn of the Dead. But yeah,
we haven't
again,
talked in a long while. This is important.
we haven't. We drift off a lot. We drift off anyway on this show. It's what we do. But yeah, Dawn of the Dead was where I left off. So Craig, what do you got next?
Let me pick from my pile here. Oh, we'll keep it up
Pile.
with Romero, the amusement park.
Okay. Oh,
Hey,
Even though
oh.
it's recently released, it's
I
still-
haven't seen it.
okay. Yeah, no, good one. Very good one. Craig, please.
I have Shudder though, so I just need to watch it.
Yeah,
It's
you
been
should.
on a bunch
It's
of
only
platforms.
it only takes an hour of your time. That's the
Right,
length
right.
of the movie.
I just gotta remember that it exists. Is the problem.
To me, it was like it's a beautiful little picture he made about like anyone with social anxiety or the elderly, you know, because that's how the
Realistic
elderly
terror.
really were treated back
Something
then.
could really run across terror.
Yeah.
Real terror.
Yeah.
Nothing supernatural, just life handing you out the shit that it can hand out.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's got like those real, maybe like 0.5 second clips of the fucking Grim Reaper just watching this guy. He's getting like beat up by bikers, and there he is in just like a flash. And the way they do it is, it's pretty intense. Like it'll make your skin crawl.
It's enough for the character to understand how close he is without being able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Which also like that helplessness attached to it. Once again, back to Romero. God damn, what a brilliant fucking filmmaker. And that
Fucking
fucking movie was lost for fucking 30 years.
Yeah.
You
Probably
know,
smoked 15 cartons of cigarettes whilst making it too.
probably. Shit, he probably fucking rolled his own and then adjusted him with his butt and lit his face on fire to get his nicotine. Because the fact of the matter is that dude was a badass.
And pressed his own coffee.
Like that movie, I mean, there was so many films that guy made that were not, I mean, Craig, you and I, we talked about Bruiser. It's not a great movie, but you watch it because it's Romero, but you still give a shit about the end. Like you still have to wait to see what happens because it's a Romero movie.
It's like the
Yeah.
Crazies.
No, exactly. No, see, to be fair, the Crazies, the original Crazies, I felt like that was Romero's attempt to get back his property.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just done with a fucking background story. Like that was
I'm gonna
straight
go
up
watch
I
it
Live and
then.
Dead with an actual reason.
Okay.
I'm just saying, give
Okay.
credit where credit's due. That's all I'm saying.
I most recently watched the remake, so I could like just having watched that, I could understand where you're coming from a bit.
I actually thought the remake was well. You guys know I like remakes though, so that doesn't that
Yeah.
doesn't really coming from me.
But so Jason, what's next on your list?
What are we on? Number 3? Straw
Well, I
Dog.
think we did Straw Dogs. Oof.
Yep, 1971.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep, this one, Dustin Hoffman.
Originally released as a thriller, not a horror movie, but still a prototype for so many.
Mind fucker.
Yeah.
Mind fucker.
Any movie you have ever watched that has a twist coming in it,
yeah,
might as well have come from that. At least in this genre.
Mhm.
Straw Dogs. It was up for a fucking Academy nod at one point. I think like it was even at the time it was released, people were like, "This is a fucking mind blowing moment."
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the reviews from the time, you look at anybody talking about it, then this is 1971. Talk about a long ass goddamn time ago, right? This is fucking 8 years prior to my existence on this planet, and it was enough to get people talking prior to social media, in person, via fucking opinion pieces in newspapers, and on television. This was a seminal fucking moment in cinematic history.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of the most intense scenes in any movie I've ever seen are in Straw Dog.
Last 15 minutes of that fucking movie will punch up.
Fucking A.
Yeah, that is a brilliant. Actually,
I actually felt bad for Dustin Hoffman.
That's the thing. I almost don't want to say anything more about it because I'm hoping that someone will stumble across this and have not.
Yeah, like you can't talk about it much because of not only because of the subject matter, but because you want people to find it on their own and like be like, you just check it out.
If that happens to happen, if anybody is watching this and runs across this particular moment, Straw Dogs, watch it. Go in without expectations and just experience it for the movie that it is.
Yeah.
And I promise you, it's worth the ending.
For sure.
That's honestly, I almost don't want to talk about this more because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like it was,
right.
it is that good of a movie because I can talk about any movie.
I agree.
I don't want to talk about this. I'm hoping somebody new will see it.
But on that note, I'll just kick it off with my next one. I can't believe we haven't actually talked about it yet. It's The Exorcist.
Yep,
that was on my list.
There we go.
Mark it, guys.
Now we're cooking with gas.
That was 1973. That would have been coming up in another 3.
That movie there, man. I can't even think of where to start with it. Reagan McNeil. Every time my stepson would have a temper tantrum when he was like younger, younger than 10, I would say, "Chill out, Reagan." The power of Christ compels you.
Oh, does it? Oh, does it really?
Right. it doesn't. But and then the pea soup.
Interesting, by the way. Father, God, what's his name? Paris?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the actor, when the pea soup hits his face, his chin and his chest, and he looks so fucking disgusted. The reason why is because it wasn't supposed to hit his face or his chest. It was supposed to hit his feet, but they fucked up and it hit everything. The look you're seeing is real. That wasn't acting.
So much sense.
The director was like notorious for that. Like if you ever seen behind the scenes stuff, like he used to tie a rope to her and like drag her across the fucking room and actually hurt her to get the reaction he wanted.
The Exorcist. I will say this much: The Exorcist. I saw it when I was, I want to say 11 years old. I slept with a Bible under my pillow for like 2 years after that. I was positive it was the only thing that could help. I didn't want that, especially because it was marketed. One of the first movies, in my opinion, marketed that way.
You want to know what's really funny about this? I was raised in a Christian household, and my mom.
I wasn't.
Watch that movie.
I think The Exorcist was the first movie
my sister just told me she watched it at youth group. Right? Like what the? It was a youth group sleepover. It was a youth group sleepover, and they watched The Exorcist.
Dude, the crowd walked down the stairs with the blood vomiting. That shit
Yeah, dude.
fucking terrified me.
Yeah, and for
Speaking of
me,
stairs,
it
getting
was
thrown
when
down.
they would flash to Captain Howdy. That face just. Ugh. When I was a
Which is-
kid, I could not stand it.
Well, modern times you can look at a still frame of that, you really look at it for a second, you're like, man, that's like bad stage makeup. Like that shit when you
Yeah.
fly on fucking Broadway.
Yeah, but
But
man,
at
it
the
didn't.
time, the quick flash moment that it was put in, that fucking thing packs a punch.
Yeah.
Like it literally, like it will cause that weird adrenaline burst that you feel right at the top of your fucking gut.
Yeah.
Right.
It's uncomfortable to see. And for that matter, even Reagan walking down coming downstairs during the party and saying you're all going to die and then pissing herself. Like that is
Right.
just because the implication and how out of it she is as an actress and like it is terrifying. Just like, because this girl fucking knows. She knows. Like, that is
Right.
a wonderful movie. Well acted, well assembled. The effects are fucking incredible. And it actually, you mentally and emotionally get involved with everything that happens.
Right.
It's a relatively rare occurrence in a lot of movies.
Yeah. But again, the subject matter is what draws people in, because it's like, you got a lot of religious people out there. How are they going to feel about this? You know?
Did you guys ever read the book it was based on?
I haven't.
Yep.
Okay. The book, frightening moments, but nothing like the movie was amplified.
Of course.
And it wasn't just because you could see it. It was the tone, it was the setting, it was the way it was acted. It was done really fucking well. The Sydow, fucking Max von Sydow as the older priest. It's fucking just it's an iconic scene. It's something you see in everything. Him standing in front of the house in the mist.
Yeah.
That scene is fucking like this little thing standing up against this big dark presence.
Yep.
That is a brilliant juxtaposition. That's not something you see in a lot of movies. It was done well. It's a piece of art.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Again.
We are at the 10th movie in our conversation.
Are we?
Yeah. Altogether, as a whole, we have listed off 10 movies when after Craig.
Oh, is that how we're rolling? Okay.
I think so, because I really got to pee.
Oh, it is
Yeah,
11.
Gregor, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you got next on your list, and we'll go ahead and pause for a break after that.
All right.
Yours is our 10th movie.
My next would be probably in my top 5 forever. James is about to go, but children shouldn't play with dead things.
Almost added it.
God damn it. That pile of shit.
You're only calling it a pile of shit. Wait, to be fair, you're calling it a pile of shit.
I'm calling it a pile of shit because it's a pile of shit. It's a pile of
At
shit.
the time it was released, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things came out in, 74?
72.
72? Okay.
Yeah.
At the time it was released, it was a groundbreaking moment for fucking horror. It was
I can see why.
That's fair. Okay, so I don't argue with the thought behind it, because it is a sort of like the children. There's a bunch of horror movies that fit the fucking bill, and they are done, in my opinion, the same reason as like. Okay, so this is a weird comparison, but it's the best way I can come up. John Wick.
Yeah. When
you watch that movie, the thing that gets you on the side of the professional fucking murderer is the fact that his puppy was killed.
That's justice enough.
And it's not like you grow to like him through the series, but the moment where you're suddenly like, oh yeah, fuck.
Automatic sympathy.
Automatic
sympathy.
Right. So there are some things you can go for as a filmmaker or a storyteller that will get anybody watching or reading to immediately pull to somebody's side.
Right.
Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things kind of created that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd agree.
Yeah. So it's not, if you look at it in comparison or with other movies of its type, or for that matter, any other movie, then yeah, I can understand what it is an answer. But if you look at it for what it was a groundbreaking fucking cinematic moment.
I tried to, but it's just like, Ugh.
Oh no, you don't have to like it. I don't expect you to like it. I'm just saying, respect it is what I'm saying. You have to respect its purpose.
My feelings towards children shouldn't play with dead things are the same as Matt's feelings towards surf ninjas. Just ask Matt about surf ninjas, or go back and watch our episode on it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You don't have to ask anybody else. Surf ninjas. Everybody has the same fucking thought, whether they admit
You
it.
know, the funniest part is
I
I would have
love surf ninjas.
probably
You
never
don't-
known about children shouldn't play with dead things if I didn't pick it up for like $5 at FYE. I remember the day I got it. I got like, what was it? Horror Hotel and something else in a double pack. And then right behind it was that movie. And I saw zombies and I was like,
Hotel or Motel Hell?
what?
Was it
No,
Motel Hell?
No, it was Horror Hotel and I think Last Man on Earth.
Oh,
wow.
hey, yeah. So the offshoot of
Honorable mention.
I Am Legend, the original, also the Omega Man was another version they tried.
Yeah.
They fucking failed because they keep
Children
ignoring.
shouldn't play with dead things. I guess that's a good place to pause.
Either way, James, I understand. I get the
Yeah.
reaction. I'm just saying that it's the same as like, you may not like Good Charlotte, but you have to respect the fact that they took something that was never meant to be mainstream and turned it in to a mainstream effort. I'm not saying.
So did Blink 180 too.
Well, Blink-182 was never different, even from the first album to the last. That's what they've always done.
No,
They
you're
just
right.
happened to hit at a time where other people like Good Charlotte, Sum 41, and fucking Green Day had laid a
I
peg.
would say Green Day did that though.
I actually think Green Day was sort of the proto fucking pop punk crossover. I can't think of anybody else that did what Green Day did. They were you had Green Day, and immediately afterwards, I would swear you had Ruby Soho showing up on fucking Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, Green Day was this whole door into the West Coast fucking punk scene.
Right.
And then a bunch of other bands hopped onto it. And I would honestly, not to draw back the comparison, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is probably very similar in that regard, at least as far as its influence. Is it a good movie? I don't think it's a good movie. Craig, I know you love it. I'm sorry. I don't think it's a good movie. But I understand its purpose and what it's done. It created an entire category.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, we go ahead and take a quick break.
Dun, 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 dun.
Something almost beyond comprehension is happening to a girl on this street, in this house, and a man has been sent for as a last resort. This man is the exorcist. Rated R.
Halloween.
I think he'll come back.
Halloween, the night he came home. Rated R.
All right, Jason, you just started going. So,
I'm
what were you
excited
saying?
about it, so I'm going to.
It's all good.
Here's the thing. This is not, traditionally speaking, you would not consider this to be a horror movie.
All right.
But when I saw it, it was terrifying to me. Even after I read the book, it was terrifying to me. A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, fuck. How did I forget that one?
Well, that's the whole point. Like, why would you think about that when you think
No,
about
but
it?
I totally understand what you're thinking. I totally get what you're saying there.
It is a
Fuck.
visceral, fucking horrifying movie. And
Yeah.
it's not just, it's like,
Terrifying.
it's a Kubrick film, so of course it's the camera angles, it's the single point perspective.
I mean, it's gonna fuck with
But
your head.
there's so much that happens in it. Even the idea at the time that there are these fucking kids that exist in the near future where their only goal every day is to go out and fuck something up. Except for as you get older, at least after I saw it originally, as I got older, I understood. I got it.
Mhm.
There are people that fucking bored. There are people
Yep.
like their idea of a good time is to go hurt things.
Yep.
Not because they're fucking psychopaths, not because they're fucking inherently evil, just to break up the monotony.
Right.
Now, the way they did it was extreme, which is why they coined the ultraviolence thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't just bad; it was ultra bad.
Right.
Played by fucking Malcolm McDowell. Alex is fucking sinister as shit.
Malcolm McDowell's he's a gem.
Oh, he is. He's fucking brilliant. But that's the craziest part about it. As sinister as he was still a kid.
Yeah. That's what makes it great.
No understanding of consequences, no understanding of the end result. Just to feel to do something because he could, just to fuck something up because he could.
Yep, pretty much.
Like that is, even when I first saw it when I was younger, that is a horrifying thought to me. That there are people that are that bored, that are that just impulsive, that there is no concern for what they could do and what could happen. So, A Clockwork Orange. That is my on my list.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a great one, yeah, for sure. I can totally agree with that. But my next one, number 12 here, I guess. Let me see. It's a good one. Okay. I mentioned The Exorcist. I'm gonna mention another possession movie, Amityville Horror.
Ah, fuck you! I had that one.
I had that one too.
That is actually one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
That was 1979, incidentally.
Yep.
One of the first Warren movies, which would later become the Conjuring universe.
Yeah, for sure. And like just some of the shit in that movie, you're thinking, okay, did this really happen in real life? Because it's inspired by true events. You know what I mean? So right.
For me, I grew up watching that movie, and like it was the original is terrifying. The remake is
the Ryan Reynolds.
It's still kind of terrifying because like
Ryan Reynolds did fantastic.
He's a good actor. He did a good job in that.
He can do anything. He's great.
Yeah. But like the fact that they were showing what was doing this to the half the times almost made it a little more terrifying.
To an extent. Well, all right, so I think I mentioned on I mentioned it on Dad Minted. I mentioned it here before. One of the first horror movies I ever saw was the Amityville Horror. It was a laser disc at my grandparents' house. My uncle showed it to me because my parents weren't paying attention.
Right.
And I was asked to watch it every time we went for Thanksgiving after that.
As you should.
But the thing is when I was so young, I didn't understand what I was seeing originally. And as I aged, I started to understand. And by the time I grasped it, it didn't bother me.
Right.
Like I'd seen it so many times, it just didn't. I was like, oh, that's why this is happening. Right. So it was that, like, that's how young I was when I saw it. Point of the matter is the movie itself had a formative fucking effect on my life. It is seminal in the way in which I watch movies.
Yeah.
Right. You rewatch them to pick them apart.
Well, I mean, there's
in your own mind, of course, but like
okay, so
to catch what you missed the last time.
Not just us, not just the viewer, but like it affected pop culture. Period. Like Eddie Murphy's Raw makes fun of it.
Yeah.
The whole thing about that, where Jordan Peele's Get Out comes from. It comes from an Eddie Murphy stand-up involving the Amityville Horror. Like if a white person shows up to this house, the wall is bleeding. Guess we got to clean that. If black people show up to this house, the wall is bleeding. All right, well this was nice. Let's go. You know what I mean? It was the whole thing. Like it was one of those black versus white things. The point of the matter is, Eddie Murphy's Raw came out in fucking 85, 84, 85.
Yeah, Delirious was 82, Raw was 85.
Right, and this was 1970 something. That's how effective this fucking movie was.
Right. 6 years later, he's fucking talking about it.
He's talking about it, making fun of it, and everybody in the audience, because it's a live recording, you can hear it, understood, which means everybody in that fucking what was that, Madison Square Garden? I'm like, that was a huge
the theater at Madison Square Garden.
That was a shitload of people, and every person there understood the joke.
Yep.
That's
and here we are.
Fucking movie.
And here
Yeah.
we are 40 something years later talking about
Exactly. Like there's
Yeah.
what was released in the past fucking 20 years outside of Terrifier 2 or Terrifier, ignore those. But the rest, what was released in the past 20 years that would have that same result? Or at least from a horror genre, not
it.
every.
Yeah. I don't know, I can think of.
It had a heyday. It had a moment where it was new and it was vital.
For sure.
Happening again, I feel like it's coming around again.
Yeah, I think so.
But there was a period where it just got stagnant. It got bad.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, once again, I like remakes, but it was nothing but remakes because no new idea could touch them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
And
it
then
was
along comes Art the Clown.
exactly. Here comes the guy's like, well, the reason why is because horror people would like to see horrific shit.
Yeah.
Literally in the first case.
Yeah. Oh, Craig, Lucky 13.
Let's see. Ah, this one is also not exactly horror, but it's kind of like its own genre in itself. Rocky Horror.
See, I debated including that.
I actually had that on my list. I had to delete it for something else.
I almost
understand the thought.
included that. Oh, for sure. It's a great movie.
Absolutely.
And there's a group here in Charleston that actually does a monthly theater production of it.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
it's funny, like Rocky Horror, by the way, the reason if you ran across it on a listicle or any type of list on the internet, it was actually released as a horror movie.
Mhm.
It's just fucked up because it's a Broadway show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that movie's older than I thought it was too.
It's not just like it later became one, but it was written. It might as well have been written to be a Broadway show. Like, I mean, not just the musical numbers, but even the stage production, the sets.
Right.
If you look at the movie itself, and I'm sure we've all seen it fucking hundreds of times, but if you look at the movie, the way the actual shots are set up, it's like a stage perspective shot.
It is. You're right.
Frank in his shadowed version leaning over both Brad and Janet at the part where he's seducing them.
Yeah.
That is a full-on stage production scene.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's a great,
Remarkably shot, remarkably filmed.
and not just
And
you could
the acting.
The acting for the people that were in that movie, knowing what they were making and the fact that they were still able to do it. Like, you know, like Tim Curry.
Tim fucking
I love
Curry.
him in it. I love him in Legend. But Christ Almighty, he was fucking brilliant in that because he fucking kept a straight face.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I mean, the name a more quoted scene than anticipation. You can't. That fucking moment is brilliant. Just that scene, that alone, him fucking singing that and waiting.
And you can't forget, do the time warp.
And God, the audience, like, what was there another movie preceding Rocky Horror that was
I think they tried.
audience participation? Like,
I think they tried.
well, yeah, like the last time I saw that fucking movie in theaters during one of the midnight screenings was at AMC in fucking 1980 or 1997.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe. So I remember they would, when he was introducing Columbia and Magenta. Okay, so the answer at the time was, "Where do you get your drugs from?" Columbia. What color is your hair? Magenta. That was the fucking audience participation side of it.
The call and response.
Yeah, and the fact that was still happening, fucking almost 23, 24 years later.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
That hit a vein that people didn't know existed when it came out.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great release at the time, but it did do a run on Broadway, from my understanding. Like, it actually went on to greater things.
Yep.
There are a number of moments that occur through the course of our life and things we understand in pop culture that are absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But they are runoffs of other things that already existed. Rocky Horror Picture was 100% unique. It was its own thing that created its own vein.
Yeah.
It may not have been a full-on horror thing. I mean, but it it definitely is what it is, and
Yeah.
it is unique.
It certainly is, and it's one of my favorites. And I can't believe I didn't include it. But Jason, what's next on your list, bud?
All right, once again, as I am the only one going by year, I'm fairly surprised nobody has mentioned this one. Oh wait, we already mentioned Last House on the Left, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, gotta star that bullshit. So, did I? Yeah, I did The Exorcist. Willard.
I have that one.
I do not have that one.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't this the same guy who did Christmas Story?
Yes. So,
Gene Shepard.
Yeah, it was. So Willard being one first, it was based off of a short story, almost a novella, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
The idea behind it being that, and bearing in mind, this was, all right, so Willard came out in 71 also, 71 or 72. It was based off a short story, so I'm guessing the story was probably released a good 5 to 6 years prior, right?
Sounds about right.
So the idea of this lonely fucking guy befriending, I guess, sub creatures, for lack of a better way to put it, and forming such a bond that he could influence the way in which they existed.
Right.
That was a brand new idea too. The thought behind Willard is really good. Later influenced Ben, which was you know, the fucking Michael Jackson song, the two of them. Yeah. Okay. Again, a prototype for the type of movie that could come out based on the plot. It was an original idea. Not that, honestly, the original version not that well acted. The remake was good, but only because Crispin Glover was in it.
Yeah.
And CGI like took a slight step up. But the idea, the story, the plot behind it is something that any lonely kid just running across a movie can sort of get behind and be horrified by.
Yep.
Just the entire movie, the entire, you know, disapproving parents, disapproving fucking work environment, disapproving everything. However, you got these weird little things that you can make cannibals attack stuff. Like that's, again, a terrifying total thought.
Yeah.
For sure. And
the remake is
coming
better
out
than the original, though. My opinion.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because the movie I'm going to mention next, because it was also done by Gene Shepard, and it was also remade by the same guy who remade Willard. You know where I'm going, Jason. Black Christmas.
Yeah, that's on my list.
Check. But yes, Black Christmas. What are our thoughts here? You got it's me, Billy.
What aren't our thoughts?
She's my family now.
What's like the remake made it more brutal, but didn't actually change the total idea.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Which a lot of times, when like a lot of remakes, if you look at like Friday the 13th, which I know we've discussed before, but like the Friday the 13th remake was really, at least in my opinion, I know some people fucking hate this. I thought it was
Love it.
I thought the idea that there were tunnels underground and that there was this fucking thing living there that was neither human nor not, but also not invincible.
Right.
Yeah. But
I love it.
there was a reason behind everything.
I love that remake.
No,
I'm right there with you.
It is good. Like thought was put into you. Once again, a fan made that fucking movie. Somebody who liked it. So Black Christmas, the remake of that movie, the same thing.
Yeah.
Somebody fucking watched that and was like, shit. There's got to be a reason, and fucking made a reason. Not just the reason, you have to dislike everybody in it. The sorority girls and the fucking murderer. You have to have a reason to cheer for the death of everybody in that fucking movie.
Yeah.
That was the remake. They did that fucking well.
They did it, and that's why I mentioned it, because it was remade by the same guy who remade Willard.
Makes sense. Well, I mean, look at Platinum Dudes. They're responsible. I mean, I once again mentioned them several times. That was
And Black
right.
Christmas is, in the original Black Christmas, is also Gene Shepard, right?
Right. Yes,
All right.
yes, it was. So you have,
And he actually had a hand in the remake, so that's why.
which actually that makes a lot of sense. That explains a lot about the choices in
Mhm.
cinematography.
Yep.
Like
And
even
I believe he had a hand
the
in the remake
overshot
of
of the
Willard too.
cookies at the beginning,
Mhm.
you know, which was like that scene. Honestly, if you watch that movie not knowing what to expect, that particular scene with
First
the
time I ever watched it, and you see him using that cookie cutter, you're just like, "What the fuck? What did I walk into?"
exactly, and even then he pulls them out and they're still fucking sizzling, but they flip
Yeah.
up and it's fucking like you cannot deny what you just watched.
Mm.
What's
And then he dunks the shit in milk.
Billy, right?
Billy Lynch.
Yeah, okay, so the original Black Christmas, and let's disregard the sequels because holy fuck, but the original Black Christmas was once again a step towards what would later become. You know what I mean? Like it was an idea that later flowered.
Yeah.
When a stranger
Step in the right
falls.
direction. Like there are so
No.
many, like there are, like I mentioned that there are no truly brutal horror movies that existed outside of the fringe brutality shit that popped up, the extremist stuff. But that's not true. There are, there's just nobody saw them. I mean, Craig, one of them is in my fucking iTunes library. Like there's the fucking movie we watched that I kept trying to get you to watch and I can't remember the name now. Jesus, The Devil's Chair.
Mm.
Right? Like that movie is brutal as fuck.
Mm.
It is
Right.
gory, it's horrifying, it is everything it was meant to be. And you could almost trace its roots back to this movie. The idea that something terrible can sometimes just happen because shit is bad somewhere.
Right.
It's like that's its fucking purpose. Why did it happen? Because some people are fucking nuts. That's why it fucking happened.
Right. And it's funny because both Willard and Black Christmas, not only the remake connotations and all that shit, but Gene Shepard,
Right.
the guy directed, the guy directed my favorite Christmas movie of all time, and Porky's.
Would you guys ever read? This is a bit of a sidetrack again, and I apologize. It'll be quick, I promise.
It's okay.
Did you guys ever read the Gene Shepard book that A Christmas Story came from?
No, I haven't read the book.
Like 3 chapters.
Right. I
It's
knew
basically
that
his
much.
childhood.
Yeah.
It
He's
is
telling the story of
fucking
his childhood.
great. It's great. Showtime did a fall, like everybody's like this new Christmas Story that's about to come out. Everybody's like, well, this is a sequel. No, it already had a sequel. Showtime made a movie in the fucking late 90s.
There's only one old man, and it's Darren McGavin. It is not Daniel Stern. As
Well,
much
that's
as I
because
love him.
everybody fell in love with him. How could you not? He was everybody's dad. We all knew
Not a
him.
finger.
We all knew him. We knew oh my god, a fuse has blown. Disappeared. We know that fucking guy. We have an emotional connection to that dude.
Yeah. My
The
grandpa.
fact is, as I want to say, at least as males, we were all boys once. We all have an emotional attachment to Ralphie.
Yes.
Every fucking one of us experiences that guy on some level through the course of our fucking life.
100%.
So that
But
was
not to get too far off track.
that was the end of the sidetrack. Sorry about Christmas in the middle.
Nope.
Of the
All good. All good. Gregor, what you got next, bud?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, we'll keep going with Christmas. Tales from the Crypt, the movie.
All right. Oh, I've got
Oh.
I'm out. Gotta get rid of it.
Yep. Tales from the Crypt, the movie. I've never seen this.
The original
Oh.
release, 1970. All right, so I got to tell 72.
72?
72 is when the original Tales from the Crypt was
Wow.
released. You're talking about the one with the where everybody meets up and starts telling how they got there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 1972.
That's insane.
Everybody,
I did not think that movie was that old.
1967.
It's free on pretty much everything right now.
I'll have to find it.
TV, all that stuff.
That was
I'll have to find
Tales
it.
from the Crypt was a fucking great movie. It
It
still
was.
stands up. So does the sequel, incidentally, the one with the blind guy running through the maze of razors.
Yeah.
Great. or not blind guy, but the guy that had the.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't know.
that blows me away. I'm just saying that blows me away. I didn't think that movie was that old.
It was. You know what's funny? It was filmed at a different rate on a different type of film for its release because it was a movie release, but it was done low budget. The point of the matter is the film that they used to record it was actually a higher quality than most major Hollywood budget productions at the time. Not because they spent more money on it, because they thought it was shittier film. They didn't spend more money on it. It just happened to be a better type of film.
Yeah.
So, like, they didn't set it off. Other people realized it. Point of the matter is, how it was filmed was an accident. The reason, like, it doesn't look like a 1972 production because it's clear. The color looks good. The actual cinematography looks good. And that's the type of fucking film they used. Not to mention what Peter Cushing, there's a bunch of fucking people in that movie.
Right.
There's some people at the time that were fucking known. Now at the time, they were in the waning, I guess, points of their careers.
But they were known. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it had a pull to it. And they're dark stories. They're the same type of stories you always expect out of Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Right. Jason, what's
All
next, right?
Well, now that Tales from the Crypt is gone. And we already mentioned the Crazies too, didn't we?
No, we haven't talked.
Oh, we were talking about that on the
it.
side. Doesn't matter because no, but we did mention Last House on the Left, so that's gone. And Black Christmas and The Exorcist. Oh, sorry, here we go. And this is something I'm sure is on both your lists. Because once again, seminal moment in horror history. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that if you didn't.
But anybody would have. I mean, the fact of the matter is, it's Texas fucking Chainsaw Massacre. An argument for fucking vegetarianism, but still terrifying. Even without, like, what's funny is if you actually watch the movie now, and I've seen that movie 20, 30 times through the course of my life, easily, if not more.
Yeah.
It is horrifying without any visceral fucking effects. It's not actually bad. It's not super scary for a chainsaw wielding villain. It's not.
Yeah, all things considered.
Yeah, but it is fucking scary. The soundtrack is scary. The way it's assembled is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
You fear for the woman. It's a visceral fucking reaction.
Yeah.
That's a great movie. It will always be a great movie. The remake, once again, because we keep talking about
I was just about to say a great remake.
Yep.
Jessica Biel.
Yeah, no shit. Even the fucking follow-ups were great.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
dude.
they were good movies. With the exception of the last two that were released, they weren't good. They weren't bad. They definitely weren't as good as the first attempt at a remake.
Right.
Like, I didn't like there was the first true sequel was Texas Chainsaw 3D, which was actually a full-on attempt at like aligning the storylines of Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
It's a good standalone movie, but it's still a garbage fucking movie. It is. Somebody tried way too hard and fucking.
They did. Now I watched it and I was just like, you're trying too much. Dial back a little bit.
The remake and the beginning.
Yeah, the beginning was good. Beginning was surprisingly good.
The ones with Arlie Ermy were fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
So when I saw the first remake, this is after I'd first moved to Tennessee. I was going to school. I didn't know anybody. And I had a kid that I sat next to in a fucking criminal justice class who was like, hey man, Texas Chainsaw. And I'd never talked to him. Like, I'd sat to this guy next to this guy for fucking a month and a half. He lived like 6 weeks. I've been sitting next to this guy. He never said a word to me except, hey, Texas Chainsaw has a remake. I was like, fuck yeah, it does. And then we went and saw it. You know what I mean? And like, we didn't talk.
What a hell of a way to connect to somebody.
Yeah, no, that was our moment. I never hung out with him again. We never talked again. We never went anywhere. We watched the Texas Chainsaw remake. And I remember watching it in theaters, and the moment where that chick pulls the fucking 38 out and blows a hole through her head, and then it pans out from everybody's perspective through her head, I was like, holy shit.
Right.
This is fucking great. Now, is it what Toby Hooper imagined? Probably not. My guess is he couldn't have conceived of that.
No.
Or he could have conceived of it, but could not have thought of a way to do it.
Right.
But the remake was great. The original still is great. I honestly will put them in the same fucking category. They are wonderful movies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just the part like when they pick the hitchhiker up. What's his name? I can't remember the actor's name, but he's like,
Yeah, I
he's
can't
just called
remember
the
either.
hitchhiker.
Can't remember.
That's his name.
Yeah, that's his name in the movie.
Cuts fucking Harold
Yeah.
with the restrainers. He pulls it out and just cuts him. It's not a bad cut. It's not in a bad place. It's not a horrifying thing, but the way it's done is fucking terrifying.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, Toby Hooper knew what the fuck he was doing. The actors may not have understood what they were in for, but they knew what they were fucking doing too. That was a great.
Absolutely. They did their job.
Mhm. Very well.
All right. I'm gonna break off from the possession and everything and go. Let's see here. Alien.
Ah, fuck you. I've got that one.
Ah,
I thought about that one, but I didn't end up writing it down.
that honestly surprises me, Jason, because like I was like, yeah, sci-fi, but it's horror. It's a fucking scary ass movie.
Again, I did it by ear. So,
Right.
I mean, that was one of my later ones.
You weren't even there yet.
It actually would have been in my top 5 of a possible 20. Like Alien was, again, Ridley Scott directing this claustrophobic, terrifying thing in which something you cannot understand has only one purpose, and that is to kill you. You cannot get away. There is no way to fucking run, and you cannot understand why or what.
And Sigourney Weaver being a complete and total badass.
Which is funny because originally the studio wanted to make her a man, even though that's not how they wanted Ripley to be a man. They were like, no, it's got to be a man. No one's going to fucking buy this. And Ridley Scott fought for it and ended up with Sigourney Weaver.
Good.
Flat out said, yeah, no one's going to expect it, but it doesn't matter.
And think of the actresses of the time. Can you think of another actress from that time period that could have done that?
Yeah.
Nobody. Only Sigourney Weaver.
No,
And
absolutely.
she's still a badass.
And even like the dude who actually was in the alien suit, I can't remember his name. He was an African guy. He was like 7 foot something.
Yeah. Kevin Peter Hall.
Is that? Thank you. Okay. His motion.
The same guy who played the Predator.
Oh fuck! Was it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that explains a lot.
At least I'm pretty sure.
Wait, no, that's in Aliens.
Oh, you're right.
Alien was like that guy actually ended up.
I can't. Yeah, different guy.
I think. Anyways, he was like straight up from Africa. He was like it's an African name. Like it's
Yeah, I can't
matter
remember.
is his motions, movements, and actions on screen gave a life to that fucking exosuit.
Yeah.
Made it a real thing. It wasn't just the fucking KY jelly covered fucking second mouth. It wasn't. It was the way in which it moved. It made it.
Yeah.
It's actually every actor, Tom Skerritt, fucking everybody in that fucking movie.
Lance Henriksen.
Yaphet Kotto, like all of it, they reacted as if they were seeing something fully ununderstandable from a human perspective. Which the idea was the first time they ran across actual alien life. Not just that, but alien life that had no use for them outside of breeding.
Yeah, that was one of those movies my Uncle Chuck had me watch when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with it after that. And I remember when I was 6, my mom got me an action figure of the alien with the second mouth. You squeeze the back of his head.
I remember when
mouth
they came out with those. Fuck yes. That was okay. So that was right after Alien 3.
Yes.
Which by the way, people give a lot of shit to, and they shouldn't. It was a good ending.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have made the Joss Whedon Part 4 or Resurrection, or whatever you want to call it.
No.
But Part 3, a lot of people gave it a lot of shit. I don't think they should have. I thought it was a good movie. It was a great way to finish it out. And Part 2 was a different version altogether. The Cameron version was a different version altogether. Made it almost an action drama. But it was still frightening because the subject matter was laid down in Part 1.
Yep. You had to keep with that theme.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever read about the original ending to Alien?
No.
All right, so originally the ending of Alien was not supposed to be Sigourney Weaver recording what happened and getting in the isopod. That was not the plan. The original version was supposed to be the alien confronting Ripley in the escape pod or the isopod area, and instead of her getting a hold of the harpoon and blowing him out of the fucking airlock, he was going to bite her head off.
Mm.
Now, right after that, it was going to be the alien head leaning over and recording what she recorded. And other people there. That was the original ending to Alien. So also there were people that bitched about a part 2 coming up. A part 2 was always in the works. The original inception of the script, it was always meant to have a part 2. It's just that, well, the mythos, what became Aliens, changed.
Yeah.
Because of the ending. And once again, I think it goes back to fucking Ridley Scott arguing for Sigourney Weaver being both the victor and the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, great fucking movie.
Absolutely.
A groundbreaker. Like it made not just sci-fi, but horror in general. It made everybody kind of step up and fucking pay attention to what they were doing.
Right. For sure. Gregor, what you got next?
Oh, let's see. I don't know. Jason may have this. Eraserhead.
No, I had to get rid of it in order to get another decade in. But yes, I wanted it just because of the fucking baby.
Eraserhead. Hate that fucking movie.
That's because it's
terrible, but
it's a nightmare. It's a fucking horror.
Yeah.
Like it's scary because of the apprehension. It's not scary because of the subject matter. Quite frankly, the subject matter is a weird, incomprehensible fucking dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why it's terrifying, because it's a weird, incomprehensible dream. Like the whole thing is supposed to be like a fucking allegory for the fear of fatherhood.
Yeah.
Which explains the baby and the weird wrappings and shit. Like it's not. That is an uncomfortable movie to watch. Done at a time where movies like that did not exist.
Right. It's just, oof. It was one of those ones that I watched one time and I was like, why did I watch that?
No, that's absolutely not what I did.
No, never again. I'm never watching this movie again. And I haven't. That's my word. Jason, number 20.
Yeah, we moved on. Okay, so there's almost that's fair. There's a lot you could say about Eraserhead, but not without turning it into like this whole fucking weird collegiate art house.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not cool. So the next one, I'm thinking people that have seen this one and or read about it, heard about it, whatever the case is. So 100 Days of Sodom, or Sallow.
I have not seen this one.
It is based loosely on a story by the Marquis de Sade. It is during the rise of fascism in Italy, and it is a bunch of depraved, super rich, fucking elite Italians gathering a bunch of poor college students on an estate hundreds of miles away from the capital and torturing the fuck out of them.
Wow.
Like, it's bad. This was in 1974, by the way. The movie was banned fucking everywhere. The guy who directed it was assassinated. Like, it is.
Damn.
It's a dark fucking movie. It is. Yeah. Let's call it the prototype of what would later be a Serbian film. It is fucking bad. I mean, in the original Marquis de Sade story, there's one of the upper crust, like, elitist people as a Catholic priest who keeps putting the body of Christ, the wafers, into both males and females' asses and fucking them.
That's
so
fucked.
Fuck the body of Christ before he makes them eat shit. Literally, like, it is bad.
Damn.
It was done to show a level of depravity that can only exist after a certain level of wealth and power could be reached. So it wasn't just a horror movie; it was a political horror movie.
Right.
And in the case of the movie that was made, also a take on the rise of fascism in Italy. So,
Right.
there's
So like a historical drama and
oh no, it's a horror movie.
historical horror. Historical horror.
It's just like straight up fucking rape and constant, like it is.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like it's not so much what you see as what's implied,
Right.
and it's very
And
clear.
sometimes that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's enough for you to know what the intent is.
Right.
It's a movie like it's. By the end of the movie, there are exactly 2 survivors. They are the guards who enforce everything. And they leave and dance off into the distance like nothing actually happened, even though
Of course they do.
40 people were fucking dead, including their players. Like it didn't matter. Like I said, it's a political statement as well as a horrible movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Bearing in mind, I think people should watch it just for its historical significance, but definitely not because they want to see something enjoyable, because it's not.
Right. But it's definitely worthy of being on this list because we're here to talk about
very
movies
worthy
that fuck with your head.
It is, once again, like from a horror standpoint, Craig, I bet you get this. There are certain movies you can watch them. If you see somebody, and this is going to sound weird to focus on it, it's the best way I can put it. If you see somebody fucking vomit on film and or take a dump on film, or like any of these like literal visceral body things, it's something that sort of sticks with you, even if the movie at that moment sticks with you.
Yeah.
This entire movie sticks with you.
Oh, fun.
It's like every scene in it fucking stays. It never goes away once you've seen it.
Another movie that did that for me, American History X.
Oh, I get that. I definitely get that.
I've seen that movie twice and I own it. I don't need to see it again.
I didn't like that. Would once again sidetracking. Sorry, but the director of that movie, I can't remember his name right off the bat, but he actually wanted to disown the film because Edward Norton,
was a dick.
Influenced its outcome so much.
Yeah,
like changed the story,
took
changed
control of the script and everything. Yeah,
he wanted something different.
Yeah,
right. I'm not sure what he wanted because his version has never been released.
Right.
I do know the anti-heroes sued the shit out of them for using his tattoo on his arm. But I don't know. I'm a little curious about the director's cut because from what I've read from different people that had anything to do with the movie, I am led to believe that the outcome was different. Not the actual, not Edward Furlong getting killed, but
what happened after
away from the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Well, the other thing is too, though, is I'm not sure what you take away needs to be different. I think it tells you everything you need to fucking know.
Yeah, I agree. But there's our top 20 of the 70s, and I figure there's a lot we didn't mention, so we're gonna throw some honorable mentions there. And I figure
thank God, because I got so many.
Oh, so do I. I'll just go ahead and list them off here. What I didn't check off.
All right, go ahead.
I'm just gonna start at the bottom, work my way up. Suspiria.
Yep, I got that one.
All right, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I had to change that one for another one.
Oh, Salem's Lot.
Had to change that one too.
Wow. Let me see. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I had that one. I'm surprised.
Oh, wow, Krager. All right. The King Kong remake.
Nice, but
Jaws.
Of course.
I have Jaws.
I actually had Jaws and I got rid of it to add something else.
I think you guys will appreciate this one. Count Dracula, the one with
Of
Christopher Lee.
course. Actually, that was going to be originally my number one.
That was reasonably so.
Yeah.
I'm talking Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
From 1970.
They're the prototype. Once again, the prototypical Hammer horror shit.
Yeah.
That was the original. That was like the first foray into what would be a Hammer horror shit.
Yep, exactly. Zombie.
Which
The Omen.
Yep, great fucking movie.
And Carrie.
I've got Carrie. Got to get rid of that.
I got Carrie.
All right, Krager, how about
I already deleted it.
What do I have left? I have 2 left, right? Oh no,
Two
three.
left.
Three. I got Phantasm.
Phantasm, great fucking movie.
Yep.
I had to. That was one of my toss-up movies.
I got Martin
Don't have that one.
Fuck. I've seen that once.
and The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Boom,
Dr.
again,
Phibes,
another one of my toss-ups.
I've actually got quite a few left.
I'm sure you do, Jason.
Oh, I
Let's hear 'em.
went by year. It's not my fault.
I know.
I didn't know
I
what they were. So, the Crazies, which we already mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Deep Red.
Okay.
Which, yeah, okay. Kingdom of the Spiders. Will Shatner dealing with tarantulas. Hard to argue. Suspiria, which you already mentioned. That's I'm sorry. Let me skip that. Piranha.
Oh.
Right. So once
I
again,
had Piranha, but I switched it for something else.
I kept it because it was one of my introductions to like Channel 36 edited version. That was one of my things.
There we go.
So and I think Spiders, Crazies already gone. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it.
All
I was
right.
thinking there was more because I have the 80s list on here too.
Yeah. But there you have it. Our first 20.
Round one.
From 70 to 79.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I think just for the sake of Jason, we're gonna do the same thing, go by year for the 80s.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I actually sort of enjoyed the way this worked out. All the movies that were mentioned, honestly, I feel really were sort of the top.
Yeah.
Of the heap. I mean, they were influential in a way that you can't even quantify. They are.
Yeah.
Right.
They are what they are. Granted, if you watch them now, you're going to look at the effects and be like, well, God, I've seen better because computers didn't exist. You're going to look at the direction, the actual filmography, and you're going to be like, well, there's a better way to shoot that, except there wasn't. That's how it had to be done.
That's how it had to be. Yep.
They were literally the kickoff for the things that you would love.
Exactly. And that's why we're here talking about them today.
Yep.
Because we talk about what we love here on this show.
Dr. Phibes, by the way, was a great addition. Like, I wanted to. I wanted to add it, and I didn't. Fucking great.
Yeah. Underrated.
No, absolutely it is. It's another one of those that people know it because...
A lot of these most of these movies, I would say, are underrated.
Oh, they completely were. Even back to the Crazies. The Romero version of the Crazies only got attention because of the... Was it Timothy Oliphant version that came out in the 2000s?
Yeah.
But the Crazies was a really good movie. It was Romero running with his thoughts in a way that was absolutely unfettered. It's a great movie.
More can be said.
Probably nothing on that one. Well,
but
nothing I can think of.
It is officially midnight, boys. So.
Oh, fuck me, it is.
There we go. The first 20 in our top 100 horror movie countdown of the decades, I guess, of the last 50 years.
70 to 79. Next will be 80 to 89.
Yes.
Yeah.
And until then, boys, it's great coming back.
Yep.
Yeah, this was good.
Great catch up. Great conversation. We will see you on the flip flop.
Da-da-da.